actually just go by one and mark them. On the other side, we have talked to consultants, and I think that we are not considered a take. We don't harm the birds, and we don't harm the water. We have been there for, I can't say Golden-cheeked Warbler, so that's I call them the bird. But we haven't harmed neither one. We have 40 years of riding over there. 40 years is a long time to get data. And we have a better bird density than the average on all the land that BCP controls. Secondly, what we call the bigger ball has been there since early 1960s. And because limestone doesn't create any sediment, it basically dissolves, it has still plenty of room. So we rely, in a case, this is a very big case for us. It's not something very simple that you cut on one little trail and you open another one, you cut in the best part of the entire park. So we really would like to go a little bit more scientifically about it and demonstrate that we are a take, that we're really hurting the bird or that we're really hurting the water instead of just an opinion.
Well, you're going to have to take our opinion for fact, because our responsibility is to manage that property in a sustainable manner. And it includes not only birds. I mean, I question your claim that that's the highest density bird habitat we have.
Didn't say highest density.
That was his word.
Doesn't say one of the highest.
Let me finish, please.
Sure.
And Hemlock Park does have some of the highest densities we have, but not on that side. The other thing is the distinctive plant community. One thing is that golden-cheeked warblers come here to nest and raise their young and fledge their young, and then they leave. And so as part of that process, the feeding process, these birds rely heavily on insects. Riparian areas are critical for insect development. Those moist soils, the particular vegetation, so they use those for brooding areas as they're fledging these, and as they collect insects to feed their young. So that's a critical habitat component that we have to think about. And I hear your arguments that these are rocky, they're different than riparian areas that you might experience elsewhere, but they have value, and they're not valueless to these birds, or the birds wouldn't be here to begin with. And so, we want to stabilize this creek, we want to stabilize this riparian area. We also want to respect the grandfathered use for the trials bike out there, and we'd love to find a common solution, but our responsibility is to manage that habitat for the benefit of the birds too. We share the responsibility to protect and to sustain the use out there with our partners at Park. And like I said, I understand what you're saying, that this area was dedicated as a motorcycle park years ago, but it was also dedicated as protected habitat since then, and that's a challenge we all face.
One thing that you guys jump every time I say it, it's my understanding that this park has an average bird density, and you jump. What do you jump when I say that?
Because our data doesn't show what you're saying.
What does your data show?
Well, it's in all of our reports, but yeah, the densities here really aren't that high compared to the other sites.
Cold water? Really compared with cold water?
It is with cold water, but those are both pretty low density sites. The really good densities are up in the Bull Creek watershed, Cypress Creek watershed, and actually even across the way on Turkey Creek, it's higher density than it is in the White Park.
I'm sorry. So, but the one that's more comparable in terms of landscape and geography or geology, it would be cold water. Is that correct? And what's most comparable to ours in terms of the land and the trees?
I'd say it was probably Turkey Creek.
Yeah, I would say
Turkey Creek is
just because cold water doesn't have the riparian area that goes in the middle of it, it's sort of, more up high. It's above. There's like a riparian area, and then you've got cold water up here. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So
it's really not.
Would it be
exactly
comparable with Barton Creek? The Barton Creek Greenbelt?
Well,
It's got Barton Creek right in the middle of it.
Each site is unique. Barton Creek actually has fairly low densities too. It should be higher density than it is.
And we're working with people to close trails and plan a reroute of the trail, including the Violet Crown Trail in Barton Creek.
My understanding is that they're pretty much for the same kind of comparable. We're doing well, and we have a very kind of things that people were up in their eyes, which is motorcycles, and not only that, you said
clearly a misinterpretation of the data.
okay, and then
I'd love to discuss that.
and also that there's another
We've
thing.
got some of the best Golden-cheeked Warbler experts in the world right here.
Perfect. Another thing is that I was told that the perception that riding on the bed is bad is not always correct. That at the beginning it sounds awful to ride on the bed, on the creek bed, but probably if you want to